Okay, we've all been there, right? That super tense meeting, the email chain that just keeps getting hotter, your heart starts pounding, and your gut instinct is just, fight back, you're gonna win this. But what if I told you that the very act of fighting is exactly why you keep losing at work? What if we've been looking at workplace conflict completely wrong?
And this is the core mistake pretty much all of us make. We see conflict and our brain immediately goes to street fight. Brute force, ego, pure emotion. But here's the thing. A disagreement at work, it's not a brawl. It's a chess match. It's all about strategy, logic, and keeping your cool. The rules are completely different, and if you play by the wrong set of rules, you're pretty much guaranteed to lose. Every single time.
All right, so this is the huge mental shift we need to make. The second you bring that street fight energy into the office, you've already lost. And I don't just mean you've lost the argument. Nope. You're also losing your colleagues' respect and your own professional credibility. It's a massive own goal.
So listen, the key takeaway here is that real power in these moments, it doesn't come from being aggressive. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It comes from control. The person who stays calm, who can think clearly and lay out a structured case, that's the person who's actually in charge. Does any of this sound familiar? I bet it does. You walk into a discussion with totally good intentions, but somehow you walk out feeling frustrated, unheard, and maybe you even, lost your cool a little bit. Let's dig into the emotional traps that make this happen again and again.
So what's going wrong here? Why do we keep walking away from these things feeling totally defeated, even when we just know we were right? It really just boils down to a few predictable and, honestly, self-sabotaging mistakes.
First off, reacting emotionally. Man, that's like laying all your cards on the table face up. Then we get this crazy tunnel vision, right? We get obsessed with winning this one moment, and we totally forget about the bigger picture. Our ego just grabs the steering wheel and we start talking before we think. Every single one of these is a classic mistake that makes you super predictable and basically just hands control over to the other person.
But hey, here's the good news. This isn't some fixed personality trait. It's a skill, and that means we can learn it. We can absolutely learn to shift from that chaotic, reactive mode into one of calm, strategic control. It all comes down to having the right playbook.
And here it is. This is the playbook. It's a really simple 5-step framework that is designed to put you back in the driver's seat in any disagreement. And look, this isn't about being manipulative. It's about bringing clarity and control to what can feel like a really chaotic situation.
All right, let's break it down. Number 1, control your emotions. Seriously, this is the foundation. Don't ever let them see you sweat. Number 2, understand your objective. Like, what's the real goal here besides just that feeling of winning? 3, use logic over volume. A smart argument will beat a loud one any day of the week. 4, position yourself carefully. This means thinking about your timing, your wording, the whole shebang. And finally, my personal favorite, number 5, let others make mistakes. This is the real pro move. When you stay calm, the other person, who's all emotional, they'll often just self-destruct. You just have to give them the room to do it.
I love this quote because it just nails that third point. We've all seen it happen, right? Somebody tries to take over a conversation just by getting louder and louder. But you know what? It never actually works. Real authority, that comes from making a clear, logical case.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit, because winning one argument, that's cool, I guess. But building a reputation as a calm, strategic thinker, that's where the real power is. We're not talking about one-off wins anymore. We're talking about your entire career.
And here's the big insight for playing that long game. A workplace conflict, it's never just a single moment in time. It's a process. Every single disagreement you have is colored by your reputation, by how you handled things last week, last month, last year. Basically, your history walks into the room right alongside you.
And this is the long-term payoff, you see. When you consistently take this strategic approach, you build a reputation for being the level-headed, logical one. And what happens then? People start to trust your judgment. Your arguments just naturally start to carry more weight, which makes every future conflict that much easier to handle.
All right, so as we start to wrap this up, let's boil everything we've talked about down to the one single idea I want you to take with you into your very next conflict at work.
It really is this simple. Victory doesn't belong to the loudest person. It doesn't belong to the most aggressive or even the person with the fanciest title. In the workplace, victory always, always belongs to the strategic.
So please, remember this.
the most powerful weapon you have in any disagreement, it's not your title, it's not your voice, and it is definitely not your emotions. It's your mind. So you've got to sharpen it, you've got to control it, and you have got to use it.
So the next time you're in a meeting and you feel that tension start to build, when you can feel a conflict brewing, don't just react. Just for a second, pause, run through the playbook in your head, and ask yourself one simple question. What's my next strategic move?